Hey guys, and very warm welcome back to my channel, and this is part 2 of our video lecture series on India and Pakistan relations. So we have already done part 1, where we have talked about many of the things related to India and Pakistan relationship, and this is the part 2 of the video. So before starting, I would like to tell you that this is a free UPSC preparation by Avan Onju, that is our channel name, and prelims and mains preparation, and all of this is going to be with the maps. Okay, so wherever the maps are necessary, we'll be showing you this through maps. Only thing I'm asking you for this free course is to just subscribe to our channel. This is very important, okay, for get us going, and like and share it with your friends who all need it. So this is the only request that I have. So now let's begin with our series, where we will be talking about India and Pakistan relations, and this is the part 2 of the video. If you have not watched part 1 yet, so first of all, just go there, watch part 1, because then only you'll be able to understand what we are talking about. So this is part 2. So first of all, we'll be discussing about the water, various kind of water disputes and agreements and treaties that happen between India and Pakistan related to water sharing. So first of all, let us talk about the first issue, that is the Indus Water Treaty, and I've already touched briefly upon this treaty, and this is a treaty which is one of the most successful treaties between India and Pakistan, and this is related to the sharing of Indus water between India and Pakistan. So India is the basic origination, and Indus River is originating from India, and it is flowing into Karachi of Pakistan. Okay, so we have a upper hand riparian. We are a upper hand riparian state, and Pakistan is a lower hand lower riparian state. So we can say that the origination is from India and it goes into Pakistan. Okay, so earlier, when there was a British rule, under the British rule, there were under the British rule, there were all of these, there were certain dams that were constructed on this Indus River, and after the partition, all those dams and canal systems that were prepared, that went into Pakistan. Okay, so that is the thing. Okay, so there are certain tributaries of Indus. So let me first of all talk about the western tributaries of Indus. So the western tributaries of Indus are Swat, Kurram, then we have Gomal, then we have Kohat, and then we have Kabul. So these are the western tributaries of Indus. Okay. Now, as I already told you, that during the British rule, there were many of the canal systems that were developed, and now they were a part of Pakistan after partition. So Pakistan wanted to develop those canal systems and etc., dams and all, develop them even more. So they went to World Bank. With this issue of theirs. But World Bank said that we are only going to invest in this canal system if we have the surety that water is going to flow into them all the time, because they don't want any kind of losses in their investment. So they asked Pakistan first of all to sign any water treaty with India, so that there is a ensurement that the water is going to flow through those canals all the time. Okay, so then is the time when this Indus Water Treaty came into being. Okay, so as India is an originating country where this origination of rivers were happening, and the tributaries were certain tributaries were there in Pakistan. So Pakistan asked and initiated India for a water sharing treaty, and that is known as Indus Water Sharing Treaty. Indus Water Treaty, you can say, not sharing, just say Indus Water Treaty. Okay, so this treaty was signed in 1960. In around 1960, this treaty was signed. Okay, and between our Prime Minister Nehru plus Pakistani's General Ayub, Ayub Khan, General Ayub Khan. Prime Minister Nehru agreed for this treaty because they said that this would improve our India's relation with Pakistan. Okay, so in this treaty it was declared that Indus, Jhelum and Chenab rivers were declared as the Western rivers, and which would be under Pakistan. These rivers would be under Pakistan, and the river Ravi, river Bias, and river Satluj would be called as Eastern rivers, and they would be under India. So in Western rivers, India cannot store or divert, although origination is from there. But in the rivers which comes under Western rivers, India couldn't store or divert the water. Okay, no big dams can be constructed by India. The only exception was given to Jhelum. Why? Because Jhelum is a river which is a major river for Jammu and Kashmir, and it feeds the daily needs of Jammu and Kashmir. So only this river was an exception. Otherwise, for all the other rivers like Indus, Chenab, India cannot prepare any big dams, or any kind of storage or diversion of water couldn't happen in the Western rivers. Although in Eastern rivers, India is completely free to do whatever they want. Okay, because this is the Indian rivers. So this was the thing. And also in the one of the eastern rivers of Satluj, just check the spelling if it is Satluj, or I'm just writing, I have to just check this once. In the river Satluj, L-U-J, okay, Satluj, there is a dam that has been constructed that is known as Bhankra Nangal Dam. Bhankra Nangal, you have listened to this name a lot. Dam. It has been constructed on river Satluj, and river Satluj is a part of a eastern river which is with India. Okay, and there is also a canal called Indira Gandhi Canal that has been constructed. Okay, India can use the entire water of the eastern rivers. Okay, so this was the declaration. Now this treaty INT, Indus Water Treaty, IWT, this is one of the most successful treaties between India and Pakistan. Okay, but there were certain now if what happens is that if there are certain future disputes that happen, so for that also arrangements have been made. If there are future disputes if that could arise. So there is a sorry, so there is a permanent, just give me a, so there is a permanent Indus Commission, a permanent Indus Commission, okay, which is there as a water secretary of both the countries in order to implement and manage this treaty. It would take care of implementation and management of this treaty. Okay, implementation and management of this treaty. From 1960s, there has been around 115 times the meetings that took place. 115 times. Okay, so it was also provision that if the issue would not be resolved in this permanent Indus Commission, then this matter could be taken up. First of all, there would be this difference that has been arising, that would be deemed to have arisen. The difference would have been deemed to have arisen, and both India and Pakistan can approach World Bank, and there would be one man commission that would be appointed, okay, which would pass a verdict related to the issue, and that verdict would be binding, means that verdict would be final verdict. Okay, that verdict would be binding. So this was all about let us not write binding, let us write final, because the thing is that the final verdict is coming, and how this verdict is coming, it is somewhere binding also. You can just say both. Okay, so I will give you a complete detail about this verdict. Okay, so first of all, when there was any kind of diffuse and permanent Indus Commission, it would be tried to resolve. If it doesn't happen, then secondly it will go for an arbitration, that would be considered if a issue has been arisen. So there would be an arbitration, court of arbitration that would be set up. That court of, let me write it here, second, there would be a court of arbitration that would be set up, okay, and this court of arbitration would be consisting of 7 members, okay, from which 2 members would be from India, 2 members would be from Pakistan. Okay, there would be one chairman, that's why it was called as one man committee, because there would be one chairman, okay, who would be the main head. There would be one civil engineer, okay, and there would be one international, you just write civil engineering expert would be there, and there would be one international law expert, one of the international law expert would be there. So this is 2 plus 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 members committee. Okay, now 2 members are from India, 2 members are from Pakistan, so this would be agreed by both of them. But if these 3 members are not agreed by India and Pakistan, so what can be done is that if these three members who would be selected, if not agreed upon by Pakistan and India, then they could go to the UN, United Nations Secretary General. They could approach them, UN Secretary General, and या फिर or they could approach World Bank, okay, for the selection of chairman, For civil engineer expert, they can approach MIT, or they could approach Imperial College of London, okay. The head of department of these colleges and all, and organizations. And for the international law expert, they could either go to Supreme Court or Lord Chief Justice of England. Lord Chief Justice of England. Okay, so this was all about how a committee would be selected, and the whatever verdict they would give, it would be final and binding. So this is the whole process of when dispute arises. This is how it would be resolved. So there were times that there was a need to use these court of arbitrations and all, and one of the dispute was related to Kishanganga Dam, and another issue was related to Baglihar project. Okay, it was in 2006, and Kishanganj Dam was in 2010. Okay, so these were both the times we had to visit court of arbitration. Both the times India won the verdict. India verdict came, and it was in favor of India, and both Pakistan and India both agreed for the verdict. Okay, so this was all about the verdict, all about the court of arbitration and all. So this was all about the Indus Water Sharing Treaty. And now I would like to talk about another important topic, that is CPEC, which I told you that we'll talk while we'll discuss about India and Pakistan. So CPEC full form is China, Pakistan Economic Corridor. China-Pakistan Economic Corridor is what is known as CPEC. Okay, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. This is one of strategic projects between Pakistan and China, and we highly vehemently oppose this project. Okay, and the reason for opposition, you will get to know it very soon, that why we are opposing this. Okay, and what is our position on CPEC and latest developments in CPEC. We'll cover all of these three topics. Okay, so first of all, let's know about what is CPEC. So CP is a project for transportation transportation plus power project. It is a transportation plus power project. Initially there was a $46 billion investment that was declared, but now it has been turned to $80 billion investment that would be done by China in Pakistan. Okay, it was declared in 2015. Okay, then it is one of the biggest foreign development in Pakistan till now. It was initiated during the time of Nawaz Sharif's power time, although he was not actually in power, but still he was there. Okay, they said that it will take them around 2 to 3 years to prepare it, but still it has not been prepared. We'll see how well it is going. Okay, according to this project, they would have special economic zones. They would have certain special economic zones. In total of 11 special economic zones would be there. Okay, and this would lead to creation of jobs. Okay, they would spark economic activities and overall economic development of the country. Okay, and the issue here is the timely execution. They are not able to execute. The target which they gave for 2 to 3 years has not been executed yet, and many of the experts says that it could actually change the economic geography of Pakistan. Okay, so this CPC project, I would like to show it through you through a map which I already showed you also in the previous Indo-China classes, but I would like to show it to you again. Okay, so here is a map. I hope that this is completely visible to you all. So you guys can see this green colored area is Pakistan and here it is India. Okay, now you could see this red colored trail on the map. Okay, and it is starting from Gwadar of Pakistan and it is going to Kashgar in China. Okay, from Gwadar to Kashgar. So you guys can see that this is how this complete project corridor is going, and you guys can observe when we reach here that it is entering through POK. It is going from POK to Karakoram highway to finally Kashgar in China. So this particular area where they are going to POK, it is going from POK. This is why India is having disputes regarding this, because it is going from POK. Okay, so this particular corridor is passing from, it is going to Kashgar in China, Kashgar in Uyghur province, UI, I'll write it out, Uyghur province in China. Okay, and it goes from Pakistan, from Kashgar. It begins from Kashgar and goes to, it goes from Gwadar in Pakistan, starts from here to Kashgar, and it also passes through POK that we have seen in the map. Okay, it also passes through POK. From Gwadar it goes to Kashgar. Okay, so this corridor is in total 3000 kilometer long. It is in total 3000 kilometer long. Okay. So what is the basic strategy why China is so keen to have a corridor with Pakistan? Now let us explore that. Okay. So for Pakistan, when we talk about, China is a more reliable partner than any of the partner from the West. Okay. Western support is more of the volatile and conditional support. So they are more, they feel more reliable towards Chinese investments. And they say that, they claim that not India, they claim that Pakistan and China relation is higher than the Himalayas, sweeter than honey, deeper than ocean. So this is what they claim. So they claim to have a very good relations with each other. Okay. And of course for Pakistan it could boost other of the alternative options in their foreign policy. Okay. And what is the interest for China? So for China, there is a first of all a very there is many of the geostratical strategic interests for uh, China, that for China it is the shortest access to the West Asia. It is a shortest access to West Asia by China. Okay. Also they are planning for road a railroad pipeline network. They are planning for a pipeline network to the west, in the West Asia. So, you know, this could also help in that around 80% of the oil requirements would be imported by China. Also, China wants more of its control in West Asia, so it is implementing and investing in many of the projects. West China is less developed, so they are also, they also wanted to have China's development policies. And also, there is a weak point for China in the Malacca Strait that we talked about. Okay, so Malacca Strait is the only strait from where they could reach Indian Ocean and go for their export. If they wanted to move away from South China Sea to other parts of the world, they have to use that Malacca Strait, which is very narrow strait. Okay, and if by some other country it is blocked, then all of their, they are completely economy driven, so all of their economic gains would go into vain, so they don't want that. Okay. So for having alternative, China also always is, trying to have the alternatives for Malacca Strait for their export purposes, so it is one of the okay, alternative route for their export. Also, China says that CPEC is like an arm for BRI, Belt and Road Initiative. Okay. So China is completely economy driven and they are always thinking about their economic development. So the alternative path can be provided by CPEC, and it would help in increasing their internal consumption and all. Okay. So this was the strategic reasons for CPEC. Now, what is India's position on CPEC? Very important. India's position. What is our stand on this CPEC project? Especially, it is going through POK, disputed area. Okay. So, we are opposing CPEC. Okay. It is passing through POK, of course. It is a disputed territory, and China should not interfere in the internal, in the China should not interfere in the differences of Pakistan and India. This is what is India's stand. Okay. And this particular nexus between Pakistan and China, and it is this corridor passing through POK, it could prove to work against India. Okay. Also, we are warning Pakistan that it is again, this particular corridor could be a debt trap by China. So we are warning about that as well. Okay, and we are also warning them that this is not economically viable for Pakistan. So you have so these are certain of the India's position. I have mentioned 2-3 points also, other also, you can just write them. Okay, so this is what is India's stand. Okay, now let me tell you about the certain latest developments that happened in CPEC. Okay, so latest developments. We'll talk about the latest developments now. First of all, there were in total 122 projects under CPEC, out of which only 23 has been completed till today. Around $20 billion investment has only been completed till now. Okay. Secondly, despite of all the investments, Pakistan is struggling with debt. Okay, so they are actually moving closer towards debt trap. So they are suffering from debts. Almost 40% of the power projects are coal based. Almost 40% coal based projects are around 40% under CPEC. So it is one of the economic consequence that it could show. It could be an economic consequence. Okay, out of 11 special economic zones that they were talking about, only one has been established. Only one has been established till now, that too in Gwadar only. Okay. Then there was a report which was published in Boomerang, according to which even the one special economic zone, their so-called special economic zone in Gwadar, it lacks the basic facilities, basic necessities like electricity is not there. Electricity and other basic necessities are not there. Okay. Also, there is a a demand from China to Pakistan that China wants to fence the entire Gwadar city. So if there is a Gwadar city, so they wanted to fence around this Gwadar city because they have a special economic zone there. Okay, and they wanted to fence this entire city as a kind of a security measure. This is what China wants, but the message which is given out to the people is that this country is unsafe and insecure for an investor. So this is the idea that is given out through this action they want. Okay, also all the talks related to CPEC would be controlled by military, because Pakistan is controlled by military. So all the talks would be handled by military. Okay, so these are the latest development in CPEC. Now let us talk about the final analysis of India-Pakistan relations. So we have completed CPEC. We'll talk about final analysis between India-Pakistan relation. Final analysis. Okay. So there are a couple of realities about Pakistan. First of all, Pakistan is our neighbor. We like it or not, but it is. Okay, Pakistan is our neighbor. And we have to deal with this troubled neighbor. Secondly, both India and Pakistan are nuclear powers. We know this. Both India and Pakistan are nuclear powers. We know this very well. And it would be foolish for both of the countries if we think that the solution could be through war. So the only solution is through peaceful talks. Okay. Both India and Pakistan should realize this thing, that the solution could only be through peaceful talks. Okay, and sustained regular talks is the solution. Thirdly, we need to have consistency in our approach towards Pakistan to improve the relation. Okay, we should try, both the parties should try. Fourth, there should be a back channel diplomacy, which is not in news. Some kind of secret talks could be there. Diplomacy could be an option. Okay, foreign secretary level, foreign minister level talks, PM level talks should be there. Okay. And Pakistan and India, lastly, Pakistan and India should realize that, especially Pakistan should realize that fundamentalism and things very worse as terrorism cannot bring any kind of positive results. Okay, so this needs to be certain, there needs to be certain proper peaceful talks, and the solution through terrorism is not a solution. Pakistan should realize this. Okay, and we both should try to improve our relation with each other, because we are neighbors, and anything going in the neighbor countries should affect one neighbor, would affect the other neighbor. That is bound to happen. So this is the final analysis from my side. So I hope you like this video. This is all done. We have completed the India and Pakistan relation, bilateral relations, and I hope you understood all of these things. If you didn't, just go right now, subscribe to this channel, like to this channel, and share with your friends who need it. Okay, this is the only thing I want. So thank you so much guys, and have a very nice day. Stay tuned. We'll be starting up in 1-2 days a very new broad topic. We have mostly completed bilateral. We have completely completed the bilateral issues, and I'm not going to touch upon it. If there would be any further topics which were left and which I was unable to cover, then of course I will do it. But right now I'll just mark the end of bilateral issues. We have covered all the countries mostly, and I would like all of you to subscribe, like and share, and we'll be coming up with the next broad topic of internal security. We will be starting up most probably from Tuesday. We will be starting that up. Till the time, revise and attempt some questions if you can from previous year questions. So thank you so much guys, and have a very nice day. Stay tuned, and don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Before going, just hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much guys, and have a very nice day. Bye.